Did you know that a tiny church in England, with only 60 members, somehow became the filming location for a Hollywood movie? Big stars like Daniel Craig, Glenn Close, and Mila Kunis all showed up. Sounds unbelievable, right? But it really happened. And behind this story, there are many useful English phrases you can use every single day. Today, you're going to learn 6 of the most common and practical A1 B1 English sentences and expressions. I'll tell you the entire story in very simple English. You'll hear an interesting tale about a small church, big celebrities, and a mysterious murder movie plot. Welcome to Lady Show English. Let's dive into today's story. This story takes place in a small church hidden deep inside an old English forest, a place so quiet you could hear your own footsteps echo. Normally, only about 60 people come for Sunday service, and sometimes the sound of rustling leaves is louder than the people inside. But last summer, that silence was suddenly broken. Because Hollywood arrived. Film trucks rolled into the forest, lights lit up the church walls, and the air was filled with the footsteps of directors, camera crews, and staff rushing around. The newest installment of the Knives Out series had chosen this tiny, remote church as one of its filming locations. In just a few days, this quiet little place turned into a chaotic movie set full of celebrities, cameras, lights, and props. Pastor Jane was so excited that she even wrote into the contract that she must be allowed to watch the filming on site. Not only did she meet Glenn Close, but Mila Kunis even mistook her for an extra. But the most interesting part isn't just that celebrities came to the church. What's truly eerie is that the surrounding forest is known for its ghost stories. And they were filming a murder mystery. Is this just a coincidence? The most surprising part of the story, and the secret the director whispered to Pastor Jane, I'll tell you in the English section. Last summer, something amazing happened in a very small church in England. The church is called Holy Innocents, and it sits inside the old and beautiful Epping Forest. It is usually quiet and peaceful. You can hear birds, wind, and sometimes nothing at all. But here's the interesting part, one day, everything changed. Suddenly, the church became busy, loud, and full of people. Why? Because Hollywood arrived. A famous movie team came to make a new film called Wake Up Dead Man. It is part of the Knives Out series, which is a murder mystery story. And guess what? Big stars came too. Daniel Craig, Glenn Close, and Mila Kunis all walked into this tiny church in the forest. And this surprised everyone. But before we talk about the filming, let me tell you a little bit about the church. Only about 60 people come here every week. It was built in 1873, so it is more than 150 years old. It looks old, but it is beautiful. Wait for this part. The Knives Out movies always choose special places. One movie was filmed in a big mansion. Another was on a private island. And this time, the team chose this tiny church in Essex. But here's the surprising part. In the movie, this English church will pretend to be a neo-Gothic church in upstate New York. Yes, an English church acting like an American church. That is real movie magic. Now let me introduce you to Reverend Jane Yedden. She is the team vicar, which means she is the priest who takes care of the church and the people. And listen to this, she is a huge fan of the Knives Out movies. She loves them so much. So when the movie team asked to use her church, she was excited and happy. This part surprised me. She added a line in the contract saying she must be on the set during filming. She wanted to protect the church, but she also really wanted to be there and see everything with her own eyes. During the summer of 2024, the quiet forest changed completely. The area became busier than Piccadilly Circus, which means extremely busy. Cameras, lights, trucks, actors, and staff were everywhere. Reverend Jane said the whole experience felt surreal, like a dream. Here's the emotional part. Glenn Close introduced herself and shook her hand. Reverend Jane felt starstruck, which means she was excited and nervous to meet a famous person. And something funny happened. Mila Kunis thought Reverend Jane was an extra, a background actor. Mila felt so mortified, or very embarrassed, when she realized Jane was actually the real priest. And guess what happened next? Everyone laughed, and it became a sweet moment on set. This was the first time the church worked with a big Hollywood production. Before this, it was only used for small student films. The location manager, Rachel Hyde, said they used every inch of the graveyard and the roads around it. Inside the church became the actors' green room, a place to rest and wait. This is important. The movie team brought a lot of work and money to the area, and many people were happy. But here's where it gets spooky. The crew did not know that the forest is famous for old ghost stories. The locals told them the forest is haunted by the ghost of Dick Turpin, a famous highwayman. Some people also believe the ghost of Queen Boudica is there too. And this part scared some of the security team. They worked at night in the dark forest, and the ghost stories made them feel spooked or frightened. The church also received money for allowing filming. No one knows the exact number because it is commercially sensitive. But it was enough to help repair the church, which is a Grade 2 listed building. Fixing the church walls or the old church organ does not come cheap, so this money was very helpful. The movie also helped the whole town. With food, travel, and places to stay, the production brought more than £1.3 million to the local economy. Restaurants, hotels, and shops all benefited. And now, people expect more screen tourism, because fans will visit the places they saw in the movie. And this surprised everyone. Many people from around the world might visit this small forest church. At the end of filming, Reverend Jane had a very special moment. The director, Rian Johnson, invited her to sit in his director's booth so she could see how the church looked on screen. Listen to this sentence carefully. On the very last day, he told her, "You have met the film's murderer." He asked her to guess who it was. She said she was caught on the spot, meaning she had to answer quickly. Now she wants to see the whole movie in its entirety, just like all of us. She said, "I want to see what happens as much as anyone else." The movie Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery is now in selected cinemas and on Netflix. And now, let's learn some useful English from this amazing story. Okay. Now it's time to learn the most useful English from today's story. Remember, these are sentences and phrases you can use in your daily life immediately. Let's dive in and start with our first keyword. The first one is hosted. In the headline, we saw the village church that hosted a Hollywood whodunit. The verb host means to organize, hold, or welcome an event. When a place hosts something, it provides the space so the activity can happen there. In our story, the church hosted a commercial production. This means the church welcomed a professional movie crew and allowed the filming to happen in their space. But here's the interesting part, this word is very useful in everyday life. For example, your company can host a party or a meeting, or you can host a dinner at home. You can even say, this hotel will host the international conference. That means the hotel is providing the space for a big event. Mini task time. Think about your life, when have you hosted something? Speak out loud and say, I will host, at, leave your answers in the comments. Ready for the next one? The second key phrase is wrote in the contract. In the story, Reverend Jane wrote in the contract that she must be on the set. Write in means to formally include something in a contract or document. Once it's written in, it is official and legally binding. Reverend Jane wanted to protect the church and also see the filming. So she wrote it in the contract, which meant the movie team had to let her attend. And guess what happened next? This is a phrase you can use in work, school, or personal agreements. For instance, when negotiating a job, you might say, I want to write in the contract that I can work from home 2 days a week. Or when buying a house, we should write in the contract that the seller must fix the roof before we move in. Even in small agreements, this phrase is very useful. You'll like the next one even more. The third key word is starstruck. When Reverend Jane met Glenn Close, she became starstruck. This word means you are excited and nervous when meeting a celebrity. It perfectly describes that wow, I can't believe this is happening feeling. In the story, she became starstruck because she was a big fan and now really met a famous actor. You can use it in daily life too. For example, I was totally starstruck when I met my favorite singer at the concert. Or, she gets starstruck whenever she sees a celebrity, even in photos. You can even say to a friend, you look starstruck. Did you just meet someone famous? Here comes an even better one. The word combines star and struck, almost like the star's light hit you and left you frozen with excitement. The fourth key phrase is does not come cheap. In the story, renovating the church organ does not come cheap. This phrase means something is expensive, but it's more natural and vivid than just saying it's expensive. Because the church is a Grade 2 listed building, fixing walls or the organ costs a lot. In life, you can use it in many situations. For example, a good quality car does not come cheap, but it's worth it. Or when talking about school, private school education does not come cheap these days. You can even use it in restaurants. This restaurant has amazing food, but it does not come cheap. Mini task. Think about something in your life that does not come cheap. It could be rent, tuition, travel, or anything else. Say your sentence out loud 3 times to make it natural. Ready for the next useful phrase? Alright, let's quickly review today's 6 super useful English points. First, host, to organize or welcome an event. Second, write in the contract, to include something officially. Third, starstruck, the feeling when you meet a celebrity. Fourth, does not come cheap, meaning something is expensive. Fifth, caught me on the spot, being surprised and needing to respond immediately. And finally, looking forward to +ing, to show excitement or anticipation. These are all phrases you can use in your life starting tomorrow. Here's a little task. In the comments, write your favorite phrase from today and make a sentence about your own life. I'll personally check and reply. If you liked today's lesson, give a like and subscribe to Lady Show English. And guess what? The next story is even more exciting, with lots of practical English and a heartwarming twist about technology and people. You'll love it. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Keep learning, keep growing.